there exists a constant battle for survival. Welcome, my friends, to Atomics on a Friday, a fascinating journey into the realm of cybersecurity, data, and atomic testing. Today, we shall embark on an adventure with two seasoned experts who have roamed the cyber wilderness for years, honing their skills and strategies. Paul Michaud, a master of cyber shenanigans, has an uncanny ability to unravel the most perplexing digital mysteries. Alongside him is Michael Haag, a cyber threat connoisseur who has devoted his life to understanding and mitigating the ever-present dangers lurking in the shadows of cyberspace. Together, they shall guide us through the complex tapestry of this digital ecosystem, revealing hidden treasures and secrets that will undoubtedly leave us with a newfound respect for the world of cybersecurity. So, dear viewers, let us dive deep into the heart of this wondrous realm, where the forces of good and evil collide in an eternal struggle, and let us explore what it truly means to protect our delicate digital existence. Join us on Atomics on a Friday.
Well, hello.
Welcome.
Happy Friday.
Start from the bottom. Now we hear it.
Yes, I know. We officially made it, and it is officially Atomics on a Friday.
Lego.
We got an issue occurring on Twitch, and I can't get it to go back to working, so we're not on Twitch today. I'm sorry. Our fan base may be decreasing real quick.
That's fine. We'll figure it out. I'm surprised. I don't know where the logs are. I guess we'll find it.
Yeah, there's probably a button missing or something. But we shall continue.
Let us move forward.
Yes, let's progress. Yes. All right, so we have quite the agenda today, and there's a lot of cool things occurring out there in the wilds. And so we'll kick off with the who, the what, the exfil, the death, and discussion. And then I think we'll kick up a poll for next Friday, next following Atomics. Ryan, thank you for joining. We're just going to call out our great audience as they join up.
Like, welcome.
Yes, we want to thank our sponsors today. Yes, all the sponsors we have. We need to make we got to have like a whole page for our sponsors next time. Forgot about that.
Oh, that's the Twitter account. It's like, what is that picture in the middle? I didn't remember adding that.
Yeah. Oh, I wanted to make sure we advertised our Atomics on a Fry account, so that everybody knew it was actually there. We got to get new pictures.
Yeah, we should probably update those at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, I did like flip it, so it was like the two pictures looking at each other, but it like reverted back. So I don't know what happened, but
APT.
That's the intern's problem.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, welcome to Atomics on a Friday. My name is Michael Haag. Currently with Splunk as a threat researcher, and yeah, doing all kinds of fun things, researching threats, shipping atomics, writing content, you name it. Here we are. Paul?
Yeah, I'm Paul. I'm a senior threat hunter at Unit 42. I chase hazard because I like to go into the fire. That's what we do. We find evil. I don't know. Figure out these intro things one day, but today is not that day.
Yeah, today is not it. Be sure to like and subscribe on the different threads and socials. Atomics on a Fry, things like that. They're all out there. But yeah, let's dive in.
We should change it from FRI to FRY. If we can't get Friday in there, we might as well just make it fun, make it Fry.
I might be able to do that. I don't see why not.
It'd be a good one. Really throw people off. That's fine.
Yes, for sure.
Let's do this.
Cool. Yeah, first thing is every Wednesday I've been dropping a new atomic test So if you have yet to ship a atomic test and atomic test, every Wednesday, watch Twitter. I try to post it on LinkedIn. If I don't, it's still out there. As of right now, the latest Atomic Wednesday has yet to be committed and is a free atomic. This includes a shirt, a sticker, and a merge from a maintainer. See, even Ryan agrees. It's super easy. It's basically copy paste and maybe test it, but otherwise ship it, get a free shirt.
Nah, testing's overrated. Just push the prod.
Yeah, always.
Just kidding. But no, seriously, you should probably test it.
But today's your day. I feel like
all the work is done for you.
Yeah, it's literally a gist, and you copy paste out of it. There's even screenshots on Twitter where you could just copy that and put it in your PR and say this works. Tested it.
They gave him the full YAML structure. I would have just like posted like, here's the command, just go fill out the information. But you did the whole thing.
Yes, I tried to post. I tried to put in like in part of the Twitter thread, like the dependencies. I copied and pasted the dependencies, but the structure was all off, and I was like, this is going to be chaos. People aren't going to figure this out.
It's phenomenal.
So now it's just a gist ready to go. But yeah, it's ready. Actually, real quick, we just got something that came in. Let me share this real fast. I just want to. Oh, look at that! It's an atomic test that fell out of a truck. Yeah, so this is the Atomic Wednesday. Feel free to screenshot it, OCR it, copy paste. So anyway, just want to make sure that's out there.
Phenomenal.
Kill that. Cool. All right. Excellent. So on to our first hot topic of the weeks. It's been 2 weeks, I think. Can't count. But what are you hunting?
Like that.
What's going on out there? What's been all the rage?
I mean, this is a short list, but there was more to it.
Yeah.
But you kick it off. Those first two are yours. You kick us off.
All right. Well, since like half the screen is Lua, I'll talk about that. Adversaries have been abusing embedded devices by dropping in Lua backdoors, and this includes Barracuda. This includes a couple others that are out there on the edge, and they gain access, drop these backdoors, and persist for a lifetime because nobody looks for this stuff. And so yeah, I think we all need to start thinking about Lua a little bit more and less PowerShell. Problem is, no one's looking at Lua until recently at LabsCon, Sentinel Labs, they released a sweet talk blog all on this group called Sandman, where they actually found the adversary, in air quote unknown adversary, not unseen before apparently, using Lua as their backdoor within organizations, which is just like straight chef's kiss. I've been saying Lua's the future. People laugh at me, but here we are. We got Lua backdoors roaming.
Wasn't the first instance of Lua showing up recently in the Barracuda stuff?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I have show notes somewhere. But yes, it's mostly embedded devices, right? It's mostly those edge things that are getting popped right now in Lua backdoors, or getting a Lua backdoor. And then now we have an actual adversary dropping like crap on your endpoints. Yes, Nmap. Yeah, people comment on that one. It's good. It's just Nmap.
It's not like they've been hiding it.
I think somebody said.
It and looked at it.
I think somebody said on Twitter they were like, all that. What was it? All that Minecraft server building stuff is gonna come to fruition or something like that. I thought that was good. But yeah, there's the Sentinel blog. It's pretty solid. Really, really happy that somebody dug into Lua. What is this gist? Oh, it's the Atomic Friday gist. Okay. But yeah,
Too many gists.
I think it's interesting. The blog does go into how to look for it on the endpoint. Definitely, I'm really considering diving into Lua a lot more. Not on embedded devices because no one looks there, but on endpoints because I think it's might be a little spot for us to find some cool stuff. That's Lua. Second interesting thing, we talked about mockben. I think we talked about mockbens. I think we talked about Maki the last time. I'm pretty sure we did. The CERT Ukraine mockben stuff. Now, I've been digging in a little bit more, and there's a ton of these API mock sites out there. Maybe not a ton, but there's quite a bit, and most of them are just public. You create a bin, you just put whatever script code you want on there, whether it's redirecting or dropping shells or dropping payloads, whatever. You can drop these things all over the web. They're free. Most of them are free, public, and you can just do that. The one I found, I shared, I think it was called Pipe Dream. Yeah, pipedream.com. And I'll share my screen. Let's just go live for a hot minute. Down there, share this, go here, and boom. Here we go. Okay, so you're saying, well, hey, I want to create a quick, endpoint to test my API. Well, I got one better for you. You create a free public one, just like that. And now I have a free public, little API endpoint to hit. It even gives me the curl, copy, paste. It actually works. Hey, while we're here, POC or die. There you go. Here's the post, and it rocks. So Han Solo is here. So yeah, and you get all this extra cool data. So as an adversary, you probably can't even see that page, huh? What page are you seeing? You're not even seeing it. That's sad.
Just webhooks.
Stand by.
The Pipe Dream landing page.
Okay. So you didn't actually see
whatever you're just pointing to now. I thought you were just still on that same page.
That was sad. That was so sad. Okay.
Whoops.
All right, here we go. Hang on. Right here. Okay. So I did the curl behind the scenes live like 2 seconds ago. But now you can see what the post looks like. It gives you everything you need to test it. So yeah, you get your endpoint, you get all your stuff, you could post all these things to it, all that kind of, yeah. It's pretty cool. These tools are neat. Apparently I was not the first one to find it because there was a bunch of Googles out there, blogs talking about adversaries using it, specifically this one by the name of APT28. They appear to like, this is like my Intel hat, they appear to like these API mock sites for hosting things, whether it's a redirector or whatever it may be. But yeah, definitely check these little things out. Follow the Twitters. I'm releasing a blog soon on the mockben one. We do have an atomic test for the mockben one. So if you want to play with that, search Atomic Red Team mockben. We're the first one that comes up. Yeah.
The only one that comes up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't think anybody knows about it. Okay. Sandman, APIs, Lua. What else? What's going on, Paul?
Big one. UNC 3944. Wicked Spider. Muddled Libra.
Muddled
big
Libra.
one. Obviously saw things like Caesar's MGM breaches that occurred.
Oh, is that what that was? Okay.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
I'm
yeah.
not. I just.
Hey, did you sign up? Did you sign up to 1099 Red Hat Linux server admin? Or did you skip that?
No.
Okay.
I'm not really interested in working 10-hour days, 7 days a week. But
7 days a week.
If that's you, that's, for potentially 6 to 12 months or till you retire. Like, that's cool. Good to you. But very interesting. Again, coming in, social engineering, help desk, request, reset password, get in there, instantly change MFA or add MFA. You want to get out, go in, do the things. Mandiant updated a blog post about UNC 3944. Unit 42 also updated theirs. Very similar things that have been seen. Some variances in some of the tools that have been leveraged, but overall, if you go look at some of the tools, and specifically like Mandiant's blog post and Unit 42's, a lot of the tools leveraged are legitimate binaries. They're not just necessarily inherently malicious, right? It's not straight Mimikatz or some other thing of like, this is a piece of malware. Things like Putty and Plink and Azure Storage Explorer, which was new to me. Never seen that before, so I got to install it and test it, which is kind of interesting.
Wait, say that again. What was it? Azure what?
Azure Storage Explorer. It's basically a utility for interacting with I presume blob storage. I didn't have an Azure account to go test with, but I installed it. And
I see.
DLLs, dependencies, etc.
That's pretty cool.
But again, so a lot of these tools are just legitimately used, but then abused by adversaries. So baselining and understanding the sanction tools in your environment is super critical to identifying that, but also not necessarily what the tool, the tool itself, but who should be using it, right? Does Jane in accounting necessarily need to be using Azure Storage Explorer? I don't know, maybe. She could be uploading financial documents. So that could be normal, right? But is Bob in accounting supposed to be using Putty to create a tunnel to RDP externally? Probably not. Worth investigating though, right? So again, things that can be used, but just abused. So that's been a fun one to go look into. Definitely would go recommend reading those two blogs. Again, very similar overlaps, some different IOCs provided from each report, as well as a bunch of, you just search either of those two things and you get, I don't know, 20 hits of different reports from various vendors and organizations. So definitely worth investigating.
There was a really
Bumblebee.
cool blog. Wait, real quick. There was a really cool blog by, oh man, it was good. It had a nice graph and everything.
People love pictures.
Yeah, it was good.
I love pictures.
Oh, I'm failing. All right, Bumblebee. I'll find it.
Bumblebee is back. I don't know if it was really gone, but it comes in waves. Kind of a lesser known one, but definitely more of the line of the info stealer. If you go take a look and you search Bumblebee for some of the recent campaigns, that was probably about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. You can take some of those payloads, and there's actually commonalities between mutexes. I actually did some mutex hunting across. So there's some interesting ones that are hard-coded in there. So those are good fidelity hunts to go look for. So you can go grab those off of VTI or VT if you don't have VTI. So that's a fun one. Yeah. Very, again, similar. Generic info stealer, steals your stuff, causes problems, malware, etc. Nice. But that was a fun one to go dig into. Where was I going with that one?
What about the web dev folder thing? Did you?
Yes, that was the actual thing. So how it works is that it'll actually use net. So our nice utility net that we kind of went over last time, which again, not just for querying information, but also like mounting drives. So it'll actually use, they create a web dev server hosted somewhere else, and they'll mount that and then use that to pull down the payloads. So looking for connections, you'll see RPC calls for web dev. So some interesting detection opportunities there, especially for net using to external domains or IPs. So paying attention to those, as well as connections outbound. So very interesting in that aspect. In some of the hunts I did see, there was actually some legitimate usages in some things that I did identify. But for the most part, it was not a common thing to see. So that could be fidelity. So if you go look at, again, some of the posts that people and researchers have posted on Twitter, you can see some of them. And there's actually a specific website. I forgot what it's called, but it's in the blog post. So that specific domain, so even queries to that should be interesting. If it's not used, just block it, right? Like egress filtering.
.life, is that it?
Yeah. So, well, those are the domains, but then there's a. Oh wait, no, I think you're right. I think .life.
64-bit static seed value .life to generate. Oh, it uses a DGA to generate 100 domains on the .life TLD upon execution, according to that Bumblebee blog.
.life probably not have any legitimate business usage. So just terminate that TLD at your firewalls or in your host-based agents.
Yep.
I don't.
Oh, they're using for shared. Is that what it is?
Yeah, thank you. That's what it was. I don't have the blog up. I have too many screens.
I see.
But for shared is the domain where you can just kind of create a share, right? Very similar to what we were talking about with the mock sites, right? Same kind of idea. It's web dev. So you can just mount it and then pull down the payloads and then unmount. So
got it.
Very
That's
good,
cool.
Interesting things. So between the mutexes that are hard coded and the web dev stuff, some good hunting opportunities for that. And then, of course, again, just go block the .life domains because that
it looks like
legitimate businesses that are using .life. If they are, just create the exclusion until somebody complains that it's busted. Otherwise, chances are you're good. Just
Yes. And it looks like it uses some pretty standard like stuff here. Like I'm reading the Intel 471 blog, and it's just talking about like Wimic to create a new process and LNKs and
again, a lot of stuff that again is just modified, right? There's not something inherently brand new, just a variation of that. So if you can do it once, you can do it again.
Once or twice. Why not both?
Your time's the charm.
So cool. That's awesome. That actually sounds pretty neat. Actually, dropping web dev off the internet on some random site. That's how I share my files.
I mean, it's the only way I share my files.
It's an open router, port forward, right to my shared server folder.
Tunneled via ngrok.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's the new Microsoft Dev tunnels. Sorry.
Yeah. You would not believe the amount of activity I have seen of code-tunnels lately.
Yeah.
Since that dropped.
People hanging out with it?
Absolutely absurd amount.
That is awesome.
Just everywhere. Nothing is safe.
Yeah.
Just go block them.
Sign binary. NBD.
If you're doing code dev and you're working internally, like you have probably things like Git or GitHub, GitLab for code sharing purposes and all that stuff.
Yes.
You don't need to tunnel it.
To get the enterprise version of ngrok, honestly.
At that like tail scale, like I can think of probably like 3 different services that are probably way better and more efficient to lock it down than just yeeting out tunnels from code. But each their own, if you will.
Speaking of yeeting out things, I was hunting through VT a little bit, looking for more mock bends and just a couple other different ones, and there's a bunch of like interesting little malwares out there that use mock bin and whatnot. I even found, I think it was like a couple like Linux coin miner type things that reach out to it. Some legitimate services use it too. It seemed like they were like validating or testing if their stuff connected back or something to like an API. So they were mocking it up. I thought that was interesting, but yeah. Lua.
It's the new hotness. PowerShell's dead. It's been dead.
Yes. All right. On to today's funsies. Our time is usually the same. We do about 20 minutes-ish of that.
Of rambling.
Yep. So
Hot
on
takes.
to the actual exfiltration of what you're all here for, I'm sure.
This came from a Twitter poll, yeah?
Yep. Yeah, we tried something different. We got about 4 votes. All 4 viewers fully participated in this.
Were they all for exfil or was it split?
It was like 2 for exfil, and the rest were the other ones. So it was pretty heavy.
The other ones. Yeah.
Yeah. I should have voted. I didn't even think about it.
I don't think I voted either.
Yeah, next time.
Wait, maybe I did. I don't know.
Maybe next time we'll just do Lua because there's enough Lua coverage in the world.
All right. So.
Oh, hey, you clicked it. Cool. All right. Yeah. Exfiltration.
Exfil. Steal stuff out of the network.
Yeah. I was Googling around a little bit before the show, and it's kind of interesting reading how people document how an adversary does exfiltration. And it was just very like, and then they do exfiltration. And I was like, well, what do they do? And a couple of Mandiant blogs will say like, oh, they zip it up and then they send it to, a place or a location, right? And I was like, that's very interesting that it's very lightly covered. It's not so like in depth, maybe because it's visibility and what they actually can see in these blogs, But I thought that was interesting. It was very much just like, and then they use Dropbox. Like, oh, cool.
Yeah, you don't see too much on like the specifics of the staging aspect, right? Like the data
Yeah.
just doesn't leave, right? They have to collect
Yep.
that stuff, put it somewhere, and then either A, just straight upload it, or B, start to chunk it into sizes to try and fly under the radar.
Yep.
But yeah, it's usually just like, yep, here's a zip file, and then they just yeeted it up into wherever, or use some utility to move FileZilla, the Rclone, which we're going to jump into.
Yeah.
Or movable devices if it's doing like a physical exfil, or what's it, exfil over something mediums. I don't know. There's like exfil's obviously the tactic, and then there's plenty of sub techniques of ways to exfiltrate data.
Yeah, I probably should have copied that link out. Let me find it. But yeah, go ahead. I'll get the link.
Specifically focusing today on exfil to web services, which is very common, right? Things of, again, legitimate tools like a Dropbox or a Google Drive or a, I guess Mega. I don't know any business that's legitimately using Mega for file storage, but if you are, congrats. OneDrive, right? So again, you're using legitimate things to then move and stage those files and exfil them out of the network. Especially if you think something, an organization's a heavy Microsoft shop, files transferring to OneDrive, Flash, going to blend right in. Now things where you start to again see them using a non-standard tool, so Rclone, to a non-standard service like Mega or Google Drive or Dropbox, that's again not sanctioned, that should potentially be a key indicator. So Rclone's a super easy, interesting one. There's a couple blogs out there. Red Canary's got one that touches on Rclone and some different activities with it from command line parameters. And then the fact that, again, like we used it legitimately at previous works that, just use it internally for for backups moving around, because you can use it internally, but you can also then synchronize to the cloud services. So in our instance, I created a fake, so I used a free mail service, Yapmail, if you've ever heard of it. So I created a 10-minute account there to register an account. So I actually didn't want to tie it to anything legitimate. And then just created the account, took the password. I created the config for Rclone, and then I was whipping files up and down via the Rclone within 10 minutes, the whole thing. So it's pretty interesting.
That's awesome.
But yeah, egress filtering is key. We harp on it a lot from baselining and filtering, but really looking at what's coming into the network, what's going, especially going out of the network. If you have solid egress filtering, chances are you're probably going to be stopping a lot of attacks, right? From things of like DNS filtering, and then couple that with application filtering, right? Like again, if you don't use Dropbox and it's not approved to use, why have it?
Yeah.
Obviously creating exceptions, then removing those exceptions, right? Like that's a huge win. Because you think about NEC2 or exfil, what does it need? A network connection. If you can't connect out, congrats. Like you still have to fix the endpoint side of it, but the network side, at least it's not active. So,
and I remember with the Palo Alto firewalls, next gen firewalls, they had all of the categories. I think they're called categories. Apps.
Yeah, app categorization, app IDs, like so many different things.
It's really solid. I remember to be able to see, like for Mega, like that was always classified, Dropbox, all that stuff. It's pretty solid.
Yeah, I think a lot of the next-gen firewalls nowadays have similar groupings, right? Like you can actually drop it. It's been a minute since I was actually in like a firewall console, but you could say like, hey, you can browse to, or like do something, right? They can segment out the different functions of whatever the application is, so you could potentially go see it, but you couldn't like upload it or whatever, right? So there's different ways that you can kind of group it. So if you're like, I'm hesitant about just completely terminating it, like baseline it, look at the different options. Each firewall is obviously built differently, but the same concepts still apply across them for the most part. But yeah, definitely worth checking out. But exfil to cloud storage.
Yep, I think so. I dropped the TA0010 in the chat there. That's the standard tactic for exfiltration.
The high level. And then this is the specific technique. And here we're just kind of looking at some of the procedural examples, right? Yep. Boombox, which was last year's MITRE evals for MDR, which came from Oil Rig. So use Dropbox. As you can see here, Dropbox, OneDrive, Dropbox, Mega, Dropbox, Mega.
Yep.
This is like cut, so there's probably like 15 or 20 more, so you can go like actually look at the various procedural examples.
There's a ton.
You can see here, like on line 3, command line parameters are interesting, right? So copy max age of those files, point it to the source of the files, right? And then to wherever. So in the case that we'll show when we go to a live, mega is the name of the, you can create a config list so you can have multiple sources or like sources, I guess. So mega, Google Drive, etc. And you just point it to whatever that source is, where in this case, it's a folder called data, and then you have some existing parameters, additional parameters with it. So you can, then again, as you can see here, like you can do some limiting, some threading, try and keep it under versus just, hey, I have 500 gigs. I'm just going to shoot it all out at once. You can, again, start to chunk it down into more smaller sizes. Yeah, cool. So here's an example. Rclone. So again, it's command line parameters just for syncing files. So you can use it again locally via SMB. On the back end, you can see a whole bunch of different names that are supported. So you have Box, Citrix Sharefile, OneDrive, OpenStack, pCloud, PicPack, so many. So chances are that's also a good list to go look at and say, do I have any connections, right? And am I seeing activity from these? Like, easy list to go sift through and then track down. But so we're going to look at kind of two things. The network activity side, which we'll use Zeke a little bit. I can go super heavy into it. And then we'll also look at the actual binary execution, so on disk, of what things we can look at to try and determine if it's executing.
Sweet.
Did you add that?
What is it? Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was curious this morning too about Dropbox being used via the API. And so as I was Googling, I was just like, this is interesting. Because it wasn't a lot of like how they're doing it. But this one I thought was kind of neat. You know, most of these tools have an API on the cloud, Dropbox, Box. And then I found that more and more these cloud storage things they're doing their own like deep AV scanning and everything now too. They're trying to prevent ransomware and all that stuff being hosted. And so, yeah, they're all trying. But yeah, this is one of the first ones I saw that was using the API, which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah.
And that's kind of a good example, right? Like if it has an API, you can implement it in a custom binary. You can do it different ways. So
exactly,
not just focus on a specific tool, right? Like focus on the technique, right? Like, okay, I don't care how they're using Dropbox. If I know my org is a OneDrive shop, it's a Microsoft shop, any other thing besides OneDrive is not accessible, having analytics and detections, looking for things like Dropbox, and then I can start to work backwards. Because if I just try and play whack-a-mole with 20 different tools that could potentially sync files to Dropbox, you're just playing the whack-a-mole game. So think about like, where are the choke points and where's the thing going to go? Focus on endpoint, but also focus on the network telemetry side.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's it, right? Oh, yeah. We have some atomic tests.
There are atomic tests, but before we jump into that, I can share my screen and kind of just jam on, like, straight up using
awesome.
Whatever this is.
Randomly, I found that Rclone has a GUI now. I did not know that.
It does? It's new to me.
Yeah. It's kind of.
Is it a separate tool?
Nope, I don't think so. It's experimental.
Right, well,
I'll try to get it to work. Unless you've got, I'll just ship you.
I mean, I have it.
Here's the command.
You might have to just run it out to me.
Rclone space RCD space.
What's first?
RCD. Tac space tac RC tac web tac GUI. See if it works. New release is present. Oh, okay. So you got to get a fancy version. Oh, it just went and got it. Boom. Oh,
wow.
Fancy. All right, let me switch to our demo. There we go. Look at that.
you don't even need to use the command line anymore, which is good because it took me a minute to remember this the parameters. But
sounds like you
yeah.
can you manage the config in here too now if you click on the left there.
Yeah, I don't want to expose my super secret fake account that I created because the password is just plain text.
That's fine. Yeah,
but yeah,
I'll show a config when you're done. But yeah, I have a config.
Yeah, so you can so obviously be in the UI, which I did not know existed. Within the command line, you can do it's rclone config, and then you can do show, and it'll show all of your config files, or sections, stanzas. Probably a better way to put it, right? Yeah, I did have this.
That's pretty sweet.
Slide links. But yeah, and then you can list them, you can create them, you can delete them, modify them, right? Add multiple, so you can and say like go ship it here, go ship it there, right? You can break it out different ways. But full screen is pretty cool. You can do mounts, I guess. It's pretty lit. So you can create a new mount. Where am I going to go? So again, a lot of different variations. But let's go take a look at
command line.
The command line. So again, Mike just dropped in the link to the GUI. The same docs will also take you to the different parameters that you can use. Again, just Google Rclone Red Canary. You'll see a thing that has a great listing of different things you can look for from like an endpoint Rclone mega extortion. Perfect. So I already have the config set up. So again, it's very easy. Just Rclone config setup, and then it'll walk you through like what's the email address, what's the password, what do you want to call it, et cetera, and then you just hit enter. So let's take a look at listing what's existing in my mega directory currently. So
real quick,
I don't specify, go ahead.
You created a mega account,
yes,
like an APT,
yep.
And you are ready to exfil using Rclone. That's where we're at.
Exactly.
Okay. Cool.
So we're going to exfil some Mimikatz because that's very important. Not the dump files of Mimikatz, just Mimikatz itself, because I want to two things. Well, you can also, we've seen adversaries actually use Mega to store and then pull down payloads as well. So it's not just for exfilling. You can also do ingress tool transfer. Another MITRE tactic technique for you. Just going to be thrown out all day, especially with those MITRE evals. Yeah, I don't know how we didn't talk about the MITRE evals in the beginning. Maybe we'll save that for next time. We'll wait for all the results to come in and do some. Some food and holler, but
everybody won and got a participation trophy, so they're all good.
I didn't get one. It's garbage.
Well, we weren't involved, but that's okay.
Well, I'm gonna be next time. So
you tell them. Go ahead.
Sure.
All right, so you're using Rclone.
List the root directory.
You got a mega. Now you're going to list your remote mega directory.
Yes.
Cool.
Takes a second, and then you can see. So the numbers are the file size of the.
I like this comment. That is awesome.
Yes, this is insane.
Thank you for listening today.
Mega and Rclone is insane. I agree.
Yep.
Super cool tool. We'll probably start using this at home for backups. 2 mega. Just kidding.
Backups. Yes.
So you can list a directory, right? And then determine if things are already there. But what you can then do is say, okay, I want to copy, let's say, mega. Let's do test.text to
and so now this will copy your mega file to your local system. Your Mimikatz.
Apparently,
Mimikatz.
Well, we're going to exfil the Mimikatz. We're going to pull in a payload that's a test file, and then we're going to exfil our tools because we don't want the defenders to have our tools. So we're going to hide them.
Now, Paul, have you seen adversaries masquerade the Rclone binary as well?
Not specific
rename it,
masquerading, like renaming. No. But we're going to touch on some internal stuff of the binary in a second.
Cool.
But as you can see here, so this is where I downloaded the file to, right? Actually, that's the command, right? So I said, hey, go to Mega, take that test file, drop it into C users or like Bachman's root directory, and there it is.
Cool. That's awesome.
So now let's do.
I'm really curious what daemon.exe is, but we'll get to that next time, I guess.
Oh, that was from my testing of the Havoc C2 framework.
Okay.
They're called demons, if I remember correctly. It's been a minute since I had that spun up. Pretty cool C2 framework.
That's cool. Just hanging out in the temper.
Hanging out. All right. We don't want them to have our tools, so we're going to upload our Mimikatz straight to Mega, and then we'll list it and show it.
Yeah. Got to protect the cats.
Strip. And what we should see, if it worked, is Mimikatz inside of the Mega.
If I remember correctly, with Rclone, it's all encrypted tunnels and all that, right? Like it's pretty ridiculous, right?
It could be
To the service. I'm pretty sure it uses like TLS and all that. That's like one of the whole
because I terminated that, but we could.
No, it's cool. Yeah, I was just super curious. But yeah.
Right, so before we jump into some Splunk Zeke data, let us take a look at Rclone. So most EDRs are going to record things like the internal binary, like binary metadata, so information about the binary itself. So not just the process name, but things about it. So in the case of like our details tab, so we can see things like copyright, a file description, a product name, original file name, and then things like internal name. So even if I were to say, okay, let me call this malware.exe, I want to look for things like the process name not equating to the original file name, or using things of just, hey, I don't care what the process name is called. If the internal or the original file name is rclone.exe, that's part of my alert from the endpoint side of things. That's what I can look for. As well as, again, tying in additional attributes. So instead, because obviously you could change these or modify these, like you can couple other different attributes or metadata surrounding that in order to help kind of aid in building the detections. So again, not just relying on a simple thing like Rclone, which you could, because as we've seen in a lot of different ports, like again, just go Google Rclone, Mandiant, breaches, CrowdStrike, whatever. Chances are, the procedural thing is just Rclone and then the rest of it. Like they're not even renaming it in some cases. So
yeah,
even though as simple as it is, you can still get away with the basic detections. So that is the binary side of things, which we do have atomics for, which we'll jump into in a second. But quickly just kind of look at some Zeke/bro logs. So in this case, we can see some interesting network telemetry being, where'd it go? So the host, so connections. So on Mega's website, there's actually 3 specific domains that are noted for legitimate usage. Now, of course, those could change over time, but connections to those could absolutely be used. Where did
I actually didn't realize or notice that they have their own user agent for it. And that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw it. Where did it go?
Right up at the top.
Is that at the top?
It was like Rclone. Yeah, right there.
It's the user agent. So you can also tag in things like user agent if you're doing like hunting and doing statistical analysis on user agents, outliers, etc. Certain ones, DNS queries, and then you have connection logs that you can use. So you can start to look at like bytes transferred in or out. So if you can do those calculations, so based on the session, say, okay, well, this session then taken going outbound, so directionality, the quantity, do the mathematics side of things in Splunk. I'm not a Splunk whiz, so I'm not going to be able to do that on the fly. I'll leave that to the professionals. Like, as you can see here, wildcard. Honestly, you could set this up into your
I don't know any Splunkers anymore. I'm only at Cisco now.
Me neither. Look, forget performance, wildcard everything, catch it all. You don't have to worry about trying to tune it. It's just going to work, right?
Yep.
Performance is a crutch.
Yeah, wildcards is life.
Like, when like you're trying to just get the basic understanding, wildcarding is fine. This isn't, building a detection that's going to go production. Like when you're just trying to sift through stuff, just go do it and then break it down from there.
Yep.
Don't listen to what people tell you about, oh, it's got to be performant.
Yeah.
This isn't production.
Nobody needs
you're hunting. There's no need to be performant when hunting.
Exactly.
Cast the net wide. Start wide and then pull it in. But yeah, so a lot of interesting data points. Go check your firewall logs. Go check your proxy logs. There'd be another way of detecting besides looking at Rclone. Great question.
Richard. Yeah. Well, I mean, kind of like what we were showing here real quick, besides the Zeke network side, you have your process telemetry, you have your network side. So there's a little mix here between the two. And, like Paul mentioned, looking for original file name on the Rclone. We have seen, I remember in the past, we've seen where Rclone was renamed. It might be on the DFIR report too, where they renamed it when they brought it in. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, as I say, this is again where you get into that gray area of, are you trying to detect the tool or the technique, right? If we're trying to just focus on a specific tool, then again, yeah, you want to focus on that binary metadata information of like, what does it do? Are there interesting things about it? Maybe it creates a mutex. What are specific maybe registry keys it has to create as it executes, right? Think of like sysinternals tools. When you execute like psexec or AD Explorer, etc. You have to accept the EULA, and then that gets written to the registry. So you could also look for registry keys. So regardless of whatever the binary is, there's different things you could potentially key off of to try and loop that. So you just have to run the tests and look at what your EDR produces for it. But from like technique of exfil, again, that's going to be what's sanctioned for the environment, what's expected, and then looking for those outliers of what's not, especially like user agent strings. So if we're going to focus on, hey, Rclone potentially is evading my detections on the endpoint, could I look at it at the network level? And in this case, because it has specific user agent string, we could go here and say Rclone's in the environment is being used. But again, if you're using it internally, you need to then figure out like, how do you determine legitimate versus non-legitimate or unsanctioned, right? If you're using it to transfer files internally from endpoints to your NAS, like you're going to see the user agent string. If it's obviously endpoint to WAN, there's a different case. So it's super dependent on it. It's unfortunately not just a straight like yes or no. It's one of those things you kind of sift through and balance out for org specific purposes.
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, it's going to be noisy on just that shipping everything straight to Mega using that. And I didn't realize they had like their own specific domain for when you're syncing from Mega to the API.mega. I thought that was neat,
yeah. So in this case, this was me browsing to Mega, I think. When I was hitting that. And then there's the user agent string. What you get, again, is DNS logs. So even if the connection fails, you may want to be alerted when you have a DNS query to those. And what's interesting is, I don't know if it's the same for all EDRs, but in my testing, the process of Chrome, Rclone, specific example, makes a DNS query to the Mega domains, and then it passes it to service host DNS, who does the actual, goes and actually queries for the DNS information. Now that could be specifically on how ours are looking for those. Look at the outlier, and as mentioned, user context can create context. Yeah, good point, Josh. Thank you. So you just have to play with specifically what those, what your EDR, how it locks it. But that was one interesting thing was, instead of looking for Rclone making the DNS connection, you're actually looking for service host with the DNS service parameters. I forgot what specifically it is. And then that's the one that actually makes the queries to it. So you can kind of start to tie those things together if you're looking for like, Rclone necessarily doesn't directly make the DNS query, specifically in that instance. I can't say it's true for everything, but in that particular case. But yeah, high level, Rclone, very powerful. Go play with it, go test it. Use your free email things like I did, like Yopmail, to get your 10-minute email account to create your fake Mega account so you can do your testing without tying it to anything legitimate.
Are you the APT, Paul? What's going on here?
I am the APT. I am OPSEC.
Yes, it's awesome. And thank you for sharing this random enterprise environment and all their data too. It's awesome.
Yeah, whose data is this?
We'll never know.
Company called Aviato.
I was just gonna share a little bit more, at least on the atomic side.
Definitely, we need to test this.
Yeah. So digging into just exfiltration, and then I'll jump into Rclone here too. I did find for like Windows, obviously SSH has ways to exfil things, which I don't know, wasn't really going to get into, but there is this one in here called DNS exfiltration. There's some tool, and I don't think I've ever seen it, but I'm probably the one who merged this. But
there's merge history.
There's a way to do DOH here, or DNS over DNS exfiltration. Yeah. So it sets it up. It does all this stuff, but I think there's a little bit of config you need to do here. I hadn't messed with it too much, but with Atomic, it has like a lot of stuff built in, kind of baked in here, and I was kind of geeking out on it earlier before I look at P14 1048. Yeah, so we'll do our show details brief. Same thing you saw in the GUI in that markdown there, but not to run it twice, but we'll run the actual test here now. And so kind of see it goes through its stuff, and then it failed here at the end. I didn't dig in enough, but this could be either we need that little light bulb to shine up, but like this could be an atomic fail that's failing here, or it's just a config issue that I didn't put time into figuring out. But there's that. So check that out. T1048, DNS exfiltrator, invoke atomic, in case you need to see that real quick. And then, T1567, we apparently only have Mega in here for an Rclone and Mega, which is really cool and is related to the deeper report that they call out. And as we were talking a bit ago, this is one of the deeper reports where they use Rclone to copy out. As you had mentioned, you can set the years as 5 years, and they're looking for all these file extensions to ship. You mentioned, Paul, the config file. And the config file looks like this. You can run, I think it's Rclone config.
Yep.
And yeah, right here, Rclone config. And it has like this cool little promptiness that comes up, and you can makes it real easy to set this up. But in this particular case, the atomic test sets this up. It's very generic. I don't think there's anything there. If there is, I'm kind of curious who runs this account. If there's something there. So yeah, the atomic test will get you going, and here's all the right, everything you need. Something that I think has been talked about very, very lightly is the config file. I think there was a blog that called out how they grabbed the config file that the adversary was using, and inside it was like a couple different configs. So you can definitely pull this if you're doing like IR or anything. Pull the config file, and then now you have their username and password for whatever service they were using. We're using Mega, but as we mentioned a bit ago, sorry, wrong one. There's a ton of things in here. There's Box, there's Sugar Sync, Google Drive, everything.
Dropbox,
you can
OneDrive.
randomly HTTP mail.ru, because why not test that as your stuff too. One I saw in here was the WebDAV right here, which I thought was cool because you just mentioned WebDAV earlier.
WebDAV for our Bumblebee stuff.
Yep. So, and this is still Rclone, and I clicked on WebDAV. Nope, there it is. Hell, what? That's weird. It's still showing Rclone. Is that what you see? Yep. Okay, it's not just me. Okay, WebDAV, Rclone config WebDAV. Am I missing it?
Well, it's configuring WebDAV. For WebDAV.
Got it. That's okay.
You'll
cool.
see that.
So yeah.
Yeah, each config will have within its stanza, because you can, as we multiple stanzas, you can see like the different sections that'll have in each stanza. So obviously each service is going to have its own requirements, whether it's API tokens, username, password, etc. Special configuration options that you get prompted for, or can just again copy paste. But most of the time we see Rclone gets dropped along with the config file because it's already exists. Like they already fill it out, so you just drop it with the binary, and it's there.
Yeah, this would be the piece you would see in that config file when it's all done, basically.
Yeah. So like per example, so you'd see like the vendor.
Was it for share? Is that what that? that one?
Yeah, for shared.
For shared. Yeah. So it would be just like that, basically.
Yeah.
Nice. But yeah, listing directories, all that. And then there is a bunch of built-in commands.
Yeah. Ton of them. We only touched on 2 of them, which were actually technically 3: config, listing, and copy.
And you use the new GUI application.
I did, which didn't realize existed. So that's obviously super helpful.
Till this very
so
moment.
Looking for maybe network connections to a local host on whatever that port was, 57 something.
5572. Yep.
Why is the browser spawning to 5572? But if you go check your EDR, if you go run the GUI, I bet you'll see a unique instance of your browser opening to localhost with that port.
Yes. But yeah, that's kind of neat. I think too.
Now I got to go back and do some more testing because that could be interesting.
Yeah, from what I was right here, the API, the API piece is what I was kind of going after. I was kind of curious what there was on the API side, and so that might be something to check out too if there's more for Rclone APIing. But yeah, what else was I going to show? Yeah. The atomic test. That's what everybody's here for. So let's kick back one. So we'll do show details brief. Oh, there's only one. That's right. And here it is in this format. Note that it's also doing max size. I thought that was cool. I just noticed that. And then it fills everything in. And then I'm going to exfil data now to a random account that someone set up.
It's Keith's.
Yeah. Yes, it's Keith or Tony, whichever.
Somebody's account. Who merged it?
There it goes. I don't know. Okay, yeah, I don't think it was going to work.
Did it actually? Yeah, it didn't work.
Yeah. So yeah, that's fine. But yeah, definitely, obviously, modify and play with this yourself so you can play with your own data being exfilled. It did something. Copied my Git log. Okay. And then
I don't know what else just got exfilled, but something just got exfilled.
Yeah. Yeah.
Better call an IR.
Yes, call the IR. Okay. So yeah, and then there's all that. Okay, so then my quick 1 minute quick refresh here, see what we find. And then yeah, so here's all the standard atomic setup stuff, which go after if you'd like.
Jump into jump into one of those process executions of Rclone. Like event ID 1, I think, process start.
Yep. Yeah, I dropped in the command line and all that stuff here too, so we can see probably these guys.
If you just click on the events tab, we can look at.
Oh, you want to like go all up in there?
Yeah. Because then you can look for, in this case, see like original file name, internal name, right? Some of that internal metadata we were talking about.
I called it out right here.
Oh, you got it?
Original file.
My bad.
Yep.
Sorry, I didn't see that.
No, you're good. Yep. So like take these last two right here. So here's the OG, here's the process. So yeah, adversary renames it Rclone to not Rclone. You would see the not Rclone under the process name. And then yeah, path wherever it's been dropped. Pretty cool. I'm really curious who runs this account now, but
just log in and find out. I'm curious as to like go because the username and password for Mega is like right in that config file. Just log into the GUI and see like what files are there. That thing's got to be loaded. It's top tier.
Yes. Hang on, I'm gonna check it before I show it live.
Maybe that account's actually not real and it's just staged. Could be the case. Don't know.
It's logging in. Let's see.
Awesome.
Oh, it's invalid. Okay.
All right.
Bummer. So we tried.
Yeah. Maybe you can create a fake Yotmail one and yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, there's all of our atomicing. We got all that in there. Get back to what's left of the day here. That demo.
Did the demo.
And then I think that's it.
We'll spit up another
Yeah.
poll for next week's technique breakdown.
Yeah. Twitter poll will be going out. Please, 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 all the thousands of you sign or click the button for your favorite T number, and then we'll dive into it. And yeah, thank you everybody for joining today. Have a happy weekend. See you next Atomic Wednesday. Don't forget.
Free t-shirts and stickers for all.
Yes, everybody gets a free shirt and sticker. Thank you.
Toodles, y'all.
See ya.